Hey guys, welcome back to New World Carpentry Solutions. And after the struggle in the last few videos to actually remove all the flooring, if you guys remember what I was saying earlier, essentially the flooring that was put down inside the RV, it had a 12 by 12 interlocking like laminate melamine with like a veneered tile, kind of like one of the old pill and stick ones. Those were actually kind of a 12 by 12 section that was then interlocked on top of a piece of 1/4-inch plywood. But then that interlocking plank system, they actually pretty much laid it out on top of plywood that they already had templated for the RV. They stapled it from the back, and then once they had the complete sets or sections that they wanted to lay out in the RV, they came in and liquid nailed and glued it to the floor and kind of screwed it around the border, which is why the first layer again came off pretty easy, but this bottom layer of 1/4-inch has actually been a bit of a pain because that is all actually glued down. So after the initial scraping, what we end up getting is like that last layer of 1/4-inch plywood just wants to peel and separate. So the best method that I found to deal with that was to come in with my hand plane and actually plane down most of the 1/4-inch plywood. And then after I get it fairly low, I'm coming back with the floor sander just to remove the rest of the material. I did plastic off everything, cover up the bed in the back, and close off the doors so I can actually run through using the planer. Then I'm coming back with the sander, and then we're gonna get the subfloor pretty much looking how we actually can work with, get it all cleaned up, get it perfectly flat, and then we can go into the flooring install. So you guys will see all that in this video. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to NWCS. And after the demo in the previous video, we now have the floors completely flat. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to tackle one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have whenever they're doing an LVP install inside of an RV camper that has slide outs. And that is actually getting the flooring situated on the flush slide portion. In this RV, we're not planning to actually tackle the flooring on top of the slide. Somebody else had already installed LVP up there. What we need to do though is make sure our rest of our install does not impede with the slidability of the camper. So to do so, there's going to be a couple steps that we need to take. One of them is going to be to remove the carpet. I'm actually going to pan the camera around there so we can talk through the steps that we need to tackle.
13 pallet, just look at all this shit.
So one of the hardest things to take care of is the LVP section right here. And after doing further research and looking at this RV camper itself, the newer ones actually have a different type of slide out mechanism. But on this one, the slide out actually raises up and comes up a ramp. The ramp has a metal track that this carpet itself is tucked under. Sometimes the track actually comes all the way up and then turns back level with the flooring, and the carpet's tucked in flat at this level. In this case though, in this RV, the ramp comes down and the carpet's tucked underneath, like on the angles part instead of on the flat. So we can't install LVP down up underneath that clip. So what I am deciding I'm going to do is essentially cut the carpet back flush about here. My LVP flooring is going to slide up underneath the edge of the carpet, all the way up underneath the flush mount. Then I'm going to use double-sided tape to kind of hide that. Well, not hide the edge, but the double-sided tape is going to allow the carpet to then be attached to the LVP. And it's going to be right here at the edge, so pretty much you won't see it. And the first row of LVP going down here, it's going to actually be glued down so that plank in that row doesn't move. Carpet then is taped onto the edge of the plank. You won't see the carpet because again, it's going to be cut flush here. And then whenever the slide out does ride up the ramp section, it still has the carpet and the padding before it even interfaces with my LVP floor. It sounds like a lot, but also getting it executed is quite a bit. So to do so, I actually need to slide the slide out in probably about a couple inches, and then I need to actually jack up the slide outs. That would give me enough clearance to cut this out, pull it back, and get my first row installed and glued. And then I'm gonna tape the carpet down on top of it. And again, I want the carpet cut back almost all the way back here with the trim. I need to actually take a look, but I think I can get it all the way cut back here because I believe it's a flat surface to about here. Hey guys, Kevin has a voice from the future. More or less, after doing the actual flooring install, the only time it's actually worth to actually jack up the RV slide out and try to get your flooring to go all the way underneath of it is if you actually have that metal track that lips up and over. The plywood actually starts, it starts beveling downward for the ramp, probably about an inch, maybe an inch and a half away from the edge of this metal slide out. So my flooring cannot run all the way up to the edge, and I found that out after I cut the carpet back. So the method that I decided to do was probably start my planks maybe like a half inch to a quarter inch away from the edge of the metal. And essentially what that does is give it the ramp enough room to kind of slide in, and it doesn't catch the flooring. One key tip I can give you guys to actually make that a little bit easier though is take like a piece of metal on like one of the metal carpet transitions or anything that can pretty much run the edge of your flooring and have that run down and underneath the ramp. That actually gives it pretty much the ramp something to slide out, something to kind of ride up and on instead of catching the edging of the flooring planks. You guys will kind of see that as I get further into the install, but just a future tip and kind of what I found out. So now I currently have a test row pushed down. It's pushed up to about where it's actually going to be, pretty much right at the lip. This row is actually going to be glued down, so I don't have to worry about it moving. But she's in position. I still do have carpet up on it. I plan to trim this carpet all the way back and then have it taped to the edge with some double-sided tape. But right now we can actually see what she does with the truck on and see how she pulls in and out. And she has clearance. So what I want to do when I actually cut the carpet back, I want to make sure that I still have carpet again intact. That is, it has extra padding for that initial slide up and over the planks. They're lifting up a little bit right now because again they're not glued down. So once I get a few rows also laid out here, it shouldn't lift up, and after I have everything nice and securely glued, I might glue the first 2 rows again just to make sure that there's no movement in that. But yeah, that's the game plan. So we're gonna end up pulling this carpet, pulling the slide all the way back out, cutting the carpet, and then we're going to jack up this end. So what the game plan is now is to slide these planks out. I'm going to score the carpet along here, and then I'm going to slide it in a little bit, jack it up, and then use the extra carpet that is there to double stick to the top of this whenever I actually glue everything, when I spread my glue for my first row. We do need to vacuum and prep the floor first. Also, what I will do is show you guys outside the truck what it looks like underneath and what exactly we're trying to accomplish. So essentially, we have a bottle jack down here on the ground, and we have a 2x4 with a piece of 1x. It's fairly wide, and that's when they actually carry some of the weight. But how this actually works, the slide outs actually operate with a large mechanical arm. I'm not sure if that's inside the shot. Okay, right here. Yeah, this large arm right here is like a gear system, and all that does is pull it in, but that's attached to the outside corner of the slide. The inside though just has a piece of metal, and I believe it's like a piece of hard plastic, kind of like HDPE, along the edge is a guide that goes up a ramp that is right behind here, and that's where the carpet is attached. So to jack it up a little bit gives us access so we can clear the carpet out. But we need to pull the slide out in just a little bit to make sure that when we jack it up, the trim and everything else isn't ramping up against the wall of the RV. So I pull it in maybe like, I don't know, 5-6 inches, and then jacking it up, it'll give us the clearance to cut and score and do everything else we need to. But I'm going to score it before I pull it in, so I'm making sure that I'm getting the carpet cut flush to where you won't see it anymore. But if you guys have enjoyed, please let me know down in the comments. Leave me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.